Hello and welcome to the first session of Tibco Spotfire, day one. This is a self-learned session and I'll be your trainer for the day. To start with, Spotfire is part of a company called Tibco and it provides the Spotfire platform, which is a BI application. It stands for Business Intelligence. Um, Basically, this is one of the many BI tools that's available in the market. So, namely, there are many other tools like Power BI, Tableau, ClickView, Watson Analytics. So, there are a number of tools that are up in the market, and Spotfire is one of them. And it has been one of the market leaders. So, to start with, um, the first thing that comes to uh, my mind when we talk about BI is analytics. So the terminology analytics is something that has gained momentum over the past few decades, and the analytics market and the jobs that is creating within in the global in the global market, there's a huge demand for analytics folks and analytics skill set. BI is one among the analytics that BI is again part of the analytics, and BI falls into visual analytics because we do a lot of visual graphs and other uh, pictorial representations of the existing data. So, what's in there for me? Um, Basically, analytics is so to start with, what is analytics? So, analytics is the past historical data and it's research of potential trends because business has a perpetual existence, and over a period of time business accumulates data and gain knowledge, and when you gain knowledge with the existing set of data you tend to create better and effective managerial goals, managerial decision. So that's the reason we study past historical data because there are always potential trends to that, and that helps you to take certain decision in the course of an event. So of course, what is analytics? Analytics is a way where we evaluate the performance of a given tool or scenario and to improve the business by gaining its knowledge, and of course to make improvements or changes to the existing business mm, by studying the past historical data that's available with us. And that brings me to the second point. What is BI? BI stands for Business Intelligence, and these are the strategies and technologies used for data analysis, which helps you to provide insight into historical and current and predictive view of business models. So now we jump into the final and the topic and discussion, which is Spotfire. What is Spotfire? So this is an IT-centric business intelligence and application, and it is used for creating visualization, which is a self-service in-memory business discovery platform. What it means is Spotfire don't need support of an external source at all times to create the visualization. Once the data is fed into the Spotfire, you can embed it and use it even offline, so you don't really need to always log into a server. So the advantage is in here when you are, say, in client location and you're doing your demonstration or presentation with this visual analytics tool. You may need to connect to your office server, but with Spotfire being your partner, you don't have to really depend on the office servers at all times. You can simply embed the data within Spotfire and it in itself becomes a suite where you can actually use, and it's a plug and play. You open it and you're in front of the client and you can start your presentation. So that's the reason Spotfire is called a self-service in-memory business discovery platform. So what are the capabilities of this tool? It helps you get to the visibility of the unknown and gives you the most shortest and the fastest way to action and insight and take decision. It has universal adaptability as to it accepts n number of or n category or n type of data source, which we will get to learn in a couple of slides more. Also, it helps you do a predictive analysis, and it has its inbuilt predictive capability because it has its own inbuilt regression model that helps you do predictive analysis. Here are the Spotfire components. Most of these are not in play these days. Spotfire statistical services and automation services are kind of a little more advanced tool, and it will not be part of our curriculum because this is not Spotfire altogether after all, of course. But just to have a good to know information that Spotfire also provides professional and high-end um, BI solutions through Spotfire statistical services. So if a person is kind of something deep into statistics and economics, can use these tools to give and conclude a valid opinion about a particular data. But we'll be majorly dealing with the desktop version, which is the analyst, and the web player version, which where we can actually publish the data. So majorly we are dividing this Spotfire component into two major part. One is the desktop version, another one is the web player version, which is which happens or which comes into picture once you publish your dashboard, which we will be learning in the upcoming uh, part of the curriculum as we unveil more and more. So here's an example of a Spotfire dashboard where we have beautifully designed a map chart showing route maps where um, various employees from some XYZ organizations are traveling to various other destinations. For example, this uh, from Canada, there are 8 people traveling to various countries, and these are the countries where they have traveled to. And you see a detail of all those people who have traveled from particular host country or the work country. So the home country, which is basically the country of origin where the person is actually settled or is working, and what the person where and the country where the person is sent for working. This is just an example and a prototype, a kind of POC as to how Spotfire looks, and we are definitely gonna do something much more and way more better than what we are actually seeing right now. So that brings me to my first question: why BI? I mean, we have Excel sheets and even Excel files are capable of designing dashboards. Why do we particularly require BI? So the number one reason will be BI accepts data from various sources. So an Excel sheet will accept data for only from only Excel, but BI tools have universal adaptability. And that brings me to the point of universal adaptability. For example, in case of Spotfire, it accepts data from SQL, from SharePoint, from Excel sheets, even from Amazon Redshift, from yeah, Google Analytics. So there are so many sources where you can actually in-source or bring in the data from. And you can bring it to into the Spotfire, and then you can create your own report and then start creating visualizations. So that's the reason BI, because it has universal adaptability. Some good to know information inside the Spotfire as to what are the contents of Spotfire. So inside the Spotfire, you got data warehousing and Spot and we'll discuss about the architecture, the server architecture, and the Spotfire concepts that we are gonna unveil in the couple of next classes. So inside the Spotfire, if you see, so this is basically the data warehousing and the Spotfire, and what it talks about is accepting data from various databases to single hub. As I told you before, it accepts data from various sources like SQL, um, SharePoint, Excel sheets, Google Analytics, etc. Um, Data warehousing also helps you to slice and dice data because you're bringing various data, bringing into one platform and creating your own report out of all the reports that you have downloaded into the Spotfire. Just an FYI that Spotfire is a Visual Studio environment and it's a .NET build. So basically, the Spotfire is built on C Sharp. And the text areas are really capable of R and Python scripts, which we will definitely jump into in couple of sessions. We'll jump into and see how the text areas can be used with the R and Python script to create some magical moments in Spotfire. Well, so this is the architecture from left to from right to left, basically, if you see in here. So here's my source file where I am getting the data. These are my connectors and workflows where the source is being converted and brought into the in-memory database of the Spotfire. From there, we start creating pages and visualizations, and then we publish the data. We publish the dashboard and give access to the users as per the requirement of the clients. The server of architecture uses something called Spotfire Application Data Services, which is an add-on to the Spotfire information services, and it helps retrieve data from various sources in here. It enables to access, transform, or cache the enterprise data sources through SIS. And finally, jumping into topics. So these are the core concepts that we are going to discuss over the next couple of days and the rest of the curriculum. So we are going to discuss about the visualization, going to implement the text areas and see how we can customize filters. Filters comes from the column and show you how it works. There are details from demands, loading data. So loading is like refreshing a new set of data when a old data expires and you get a new fresh piece. How do we refresh it? How do we add an Excel file? Of course, we will be doing a major part of the training through an Excel sheet because we don't have access to real-time data, and that's the reason we'll stick to Excel sheet. However, the idea is to understand how do we develop visualization in Spotfire rather than quality data. So we have to really understand how we have to build the data, and that's what is kind of the unique selling point as compared to other analytics or visual analytics developer. Um, I'll also show you how to open files from library, create an information link, create calculated columns within the dashboard, within a column property, or within visualization. Tooltips is again a very important feature where you hover and get all the information that you require, and we'll figure out how to customize tooltip. Have legends, collaboration panel. Collaboration panel is an interesting concept, but not very important. But it's kind of since part of the curriculum, we will definitely discuss for a couple of seconds. But uh, a collaboration panel is a beautiful uh, concept. We have marking where we can use this to interact with other visualizations within a single report, and that's the reason we use marking. I'll show you how we do that. And we have bin columns. Bin columns is something that acts as a container, and on the containers, you group certain conditions and then store it. So let's see how we can use the bin columns. That's being said, I'm pretty much done with the theory part, and um, let me just jump into and show you how the Spotfire, basically the interface looks like. So this is how your Spotfire will be looking into, and this is how the exact layout is. This is the most latest version of Spotfire that we have, which is Spotfire 10, and there are certain navigations where you can add or save the files in here. So adding option has come and shifted in here as compared to the older version. So you can add a file in here. These are the control panels for various controls where um, you can add calculated columns, check into document properties, and there are many other scopes in here. So as soon as we import a data or see a sample file, you'll see that most of these features that you see in here will be available for you. So the idea is that not unless until you have a data in here, you cannot. These options are basically frozen. So moving ahead, we can add a data in here, and The moment you click on this plus symbol, which calls the name as files and data, you have access to the most recent analysis that you have done. Nevertheless, we're not looking for this and we are just simply gonna take a new file. So how do we do that? We browse our local file or we browse a server. So I have a data in here which is the test data, and we'll just quickly add this in here. And the moment you add, everything will turn blank. Just click OK. And now if you see on the right side of the panel, everything that was frozen is now made available for use. So the control panel that you see in here gives you major information where you can save, copy, export data, and there are a lot of other facilities that we will be including in the upcoming classes. We can do predictive analysis, we can add predictive column, we can add hierarchy, I can add new visualizations, we can do a lot of other stuffs in here, and that we will unveil over the next few days classes. Basically something that you imported, you always need to have a double check. So need to know how many rows you have imported. Okay, so we got here 754 rows. So we'll just quickly double check if the data which I have already kept open, does it have 174 rows that we're talking about. Sorry, it's 755 rows. And over here we have 754 rows. So what's the extra row, one extra row that we are getting? Is basically the column header, which is the row 1. So Spotfire automatically considers row 1 as the column header, and you don't have to bother much on the column name. And what's happening in here is Spotfire is simply ignoring the first row and just taking count from the next, which will give you an exact 754, which is the right match. It means that the data has been imported properly. Now if you see in here, if I just click on data and analysis, I'll get to see, all right, these are my columns and these are kind of segregated really cool. So I love the plan and the layout that Spotfire has. Spotfire is able to understand which columns are numbers and which columns are strings automatically. And that's really cool. So these are the columns that the client has provided, and let's see what we can do of this. So creating data in Spotfire is really easy. What we can just simply do is confine and say if you write sales comparison, don't see much, sales 2012. Let's say I click on electronic sales 2015. No, I guess not a right match here. Let's see and let's try another name. Yeah, there's something that Spotfire recognized. So we're gonna just simply say, okay, fine, I'm gonna see total sales and I'm gonna use this histogram. So total amount of purchases have been bin in here, and probably I would rather say I won't like the bin. I'll probably take the date joined and just take the year out of it and then call a sum in here, or say sum of electronics. I see that everything gets populated well, and 2010 and 11 has seen almost the pretty much same amount of um sales for electronics products, but 2012 has a lesser sale. So this is how we can actually create visualizations. Just totally very simple creating visualization in Spotfire. So trust me, you'll have fun creating visualization here, and it's just a couple of clicks and you are done. We'll teach you in and out everything how to create and put terms, limit data, and conclude calculations within visualization or create an external calculated column within Spotfire and do the calculation. And why do we do different kind of calculations, some in calculated column and some in some of the calculations in within the visualization. So we'll definitely get to explain you all these uh, um, questions in the next few classes. We can also check out a few more other interesting stuff. So, for example, Spotfire gives a lot of uh, sample files. Let's see, how the sample files look basically and how the data has been provided in the sample files. So I'm gonna just quickly click open and just click on here. Seriously, what is asking for? Or asking to say no, I don't want to save anyways this data. Now creating here and I have opened a sample file. Let's see how an example dashboard works. So wow, this looks really awesome. And this is how the dashboard looks like. And if you just click on a particular region, I'm sure something will populate in here now. It's probably something from here. Yes. So East India, and you get a drill down of the major cases in here. You see, clicking here, South Asia, you see India is the major market. So this is a sample file that showing you a certain different, and this is how the marking works, and we'll see how this actually works. Click on any line chart and gives you the split of that data. So that's really exciting when it comes to Spotfire, and you just click on anything and you can actually mark. The moment you mark, everything starts working awesome. So this is how the dashboards and its layout are in Spotfire, and I'm sure you'll learn it at a very fast rate because very simple and very easy approach to create a visualization. And the good part is, even though you don't have any skill set into development, you really don't require a skill set to be a Spotfire developer. So I'll be there for you in the next couple of days and the next couple of sessions, and we'll definitely have a great time together working on creating dashboards and evolving with our own thought process and creating and improvise the existing dashboards that we have created. So I'm sure you have enjoyed this session and hope to see you soon on the next one. Have a good time ahead. Bye.